what I have captured upon my arrival to the Starbucks at 706 West Holt in Ontario is the placement, the presence of airplanes on both east and west of the intersection of Holt and San Antonio as I was walking south on San Antonio towards the Starbucks. And this is what's represented by the captures of the third parties that were engaging in positioning and crossing paths. The white truck that parked abruptly, very swiftly into the parking lot in front of the Donut Cafe. This is upon my immediately noticing the airplane above that parking lot. That would have been to my left. And then on my right, upon entering the Starbucks parking lot, that's P.O.C. with regard to crossing paths of the vehicles inside of the drive-thru that are engaged in the P.O.C. The airplanes are present in addition to the elements that are there nevertheless, irrespective of the airplanes flying above, but the airplanes' presence are a coinciding universal fact with regard to this state's organized system of stalking and harassment and the search for electronic information. In addition to that was the vehicle that immediately followed me into the parking lot as I turned and stopped in front of the drive-thru in order to capture a picture of that car. That was in a stationary position. So that was also another instance of crossing paths, and this is while I was within the presence of the airplane that was on my right side. So that was on the side of Starbucks and then on the side of Stater Brothers. And those are representative of the images that I took upon my entrance, in addition to the 527 image of the third party placed at the table where I habitually sit inside of this Starbucks against the wall and engaging using my communication devices. And this is while the airplanes are present on both sides of Starbucks, on both sides of San Antonio rather. And it is 5:34 a.m. and while I'm in operation of my device, the state is engaged in seeking to manipulate my device as well. This speaks to the invasion of privacy, listening to me while I am inside of the restroom right now at 5:34 a.m. So you have either positioning of third parties, which is occurring in the drive-thru is actually a matter of crossing paths, but positioning as far as the third parties inside of the cafe in relevant positions to the targeted individual. And then you also have the employment of the Starbucks barristers themselves who engage in calling customers by their name in order for them to guise under the fact that they are crossing paths each time they do so. It is coinciding with the targeted individual's activity, and this is what's occurring right now with the presence of a third party on a communication device in relevant position to my location at the table at the Starbucks, and that is a nonverbal communication because I am in movement inside. So what I've captured is right over here. This is P.O.C. right above the drive-thru window. They have blinking lights right over the drive-thru windows. This is P.O.C. for air movement, for the light element for their communication devices, for positioning through the drive-thru. Thank you. So what I just took an image of at 6:05 a.m. is the airplane flying west, parallel to my position inside of the Starbucks next to the window. And this is while the third party is planted next to me with this communication device. While third parties are engaged in movement of air while I'm in operation of my communication device. While the drive-thru is filled with cars that are engaged in crossing position. The drive-thru window is open, it's movement of air, and the blinking of lights above the drive-thru window, that's the enhancement use of light. This is all elements present in addition to the presence of the airplanes that are present. I am at Starbucks at 706 West Holt. It is 6:05 a.m. That was an image at 9:27 of Starbucks employee closing the blinds, blocking the sunlight upon my logging onto the Wi-Fi site. So that is highly relevant with regard to the third-party P.O.C. and timing. It is in concert with my logging onto the Starbucks Wi-Fi. It's 9:27 a.m. It is 9:41 a.m., just documenting the occurrence of the sirens in the perimeter of my physical location here at the Starbucks. 9:41 as I am just digging in my purse. That's what I'm doing. But the targeted individual is engaged in activity and movement. 9:41, though, that was the sound of sirens, which is within the P.O.C. Okay, the image that I captured at 10:17 a.m. Is just demonstrative of third-party conduct, and this is also
representative of the system itself with regard to the use of numbers. And so with regard to this here at the establishment of Starbucks, the removal of one plant, and by plant I mean it was a third party in relevant position and stationary position to my right, and upon me turning on my electronic device, that third party immediately left. And I took an image of a replacement of that one on my opposite side on the left, the third party, who was also in the same relevant position. And all the elements are present with regard to the ceaseless search for electronic information on my communication devices. It was simultaneous to my turning on my laptop. But the mere movement of one is replaced with the placement of another. This is analogous conduct that was also observed out at the Sylvan Glen Public Park with regard to third parties that were parked in the parking lot. This is the quote-unquote advantage with regard to gang stalking, contract stalking, which is accurately termed state-organized stalking. The third parties have the advantage of walking in and out the cafe all day long, serving the same principal purpose. It's just replaced with a different face, and that's essentially the system itself. And so anyway, my focus of that photograph was the replacement of the one third party on my right with the placement of the third party on my left. It's 10:18 a.m. Okay, and with regard to the photograph I just captured of that third party who was in stationary position to my left, this is P.O.C. in this establishment, as I have documented the location of a third party that is placed in stationary, relevant location, which is going to be essentially anywhere in this relatively small establishment, first of all, but he was in close proximity to my location. The third-party employee engages in calling that patron, and that is masking the guise of that which is actually occurring, which is crossing his path. And so that third party, in walking over to get its drink, is engaged in crossing path of the targeted individual, and this is the means by which the ceaseless search is continuing inside of this establishment, where they're conducting business, and they are also acting in concert with the state that is engaged in stalking, harassment, and constant monitoring. And this is essentially what is going on a repeated basis. They engage in calling the customers, or the customers getting up on their own will, and again, this is based on their tools that they have at their disposal, the invasion of privacy, the nonverbal communication cues. And so the significance of that picture that I took was the third party engaging in crossing path and going to respond to the third party employees calling their name to go pick up their drink at the bar, which is in front of me. They're crossing paths in doing so, and they're exiting. That is moving air as well. All of the elements are present with regard to what I'm documenting. It's 10:21 a.m. That is license 1503458, vehicle number 1849, airplanes audibly present, officer seating inside of the vehicle. Also in relevant position to my seating inside of the cafe. 5:24 p.m., just noting P.O.C. again at the same venue where there are sirens sounding, and that is the third time, and this is in addition to the third party on my right on their communication device after I just finished verbally narrating P.O.C. And in addition to that, me operating my laptop, and they just finished listening to me recite more of what I've just documented about their engagement in P.O.C. on the part of third parties in concert with the state. It's 5:25 p.m., but that siren was around the perimeter of my location, which is P.O.C. at 5:24 p.m., and I am at the same Starbucks. The images taken at 5:27 and 5:31 are probative of the third party older gentleman with gray hair who was active on his communication device while I was engaged in openly narrating within relevant positioning. The sound of the sirens, which immediately followed, is relevant to that. He is not the only third party planted around, but he was, on his in operation as a communication device, and that is within P.O.C. while I was engaged in the open narration. We also have another siren. That's an ambulance. That is P.O.C. right there. Same occurrence at Ontario Library, at the San Bernardino Superior Court, by fire trucks, ambulance, and police at the Superior Court, and it is occurring also here at the Starbucks where I am actively engaged in documentation. So when they drive past with their siren sounding and their lights blaring, they are fully engaged in the search for information in a communication device. They are surrounding the perimeter. They are driving at an elevated speed. They have the lights going in action. That is all elements, and that's just unique with regard to the state. And this is also why the planes are not a necessary element. The planes are probative of the malice of the state and the desperation and the extent to which the state will go in order to engage in such criminal conduct. But that is, again, not a coincidence. It is also an effort on the part of the state that is seeking to contradict and or duplicate my narration, my identification of the P.O.C. by having a siren drive past at the moment where I'm speaking to the fact that there were sirens around the time where a third party was in relevant position on his communication device. Okay, this is relevant. This is not a coincidence. This is called P.O.C., and this is with regard to the state's active invasion of privacy. In addition to that, the fact that the ambulance was so close and able to do that right on time while I'm engaged, it speaks to the constant surrounding of the state. Constantly. This is analogous of the fire truck that drove right past me at the intersection of FERN and G the moment I stepped out of the vehicle, and I documented that occurrence. These are not coincidences. The clinical term is called pattern of conduct. It's 5:34 p.m. Okay, the relevance of the image of the gentleman on the, not a gentleman, he's a stalker, the third party in operation of a communication device in my direct presence while I was in the midst of verbally documenting P.O.C. As it exists here at the Starbucks is highly relevant with regard to the sirens that immediately followed. And again, the sirens that immediately followed while I was in the midst of identifying that P.O.C. is highly relevant as well to the P.O.C. In addition to that, the additional attempt to try to manipulate my phone, this speaks to the invasion of privacy. This speaks to the very search of the communication devices that I'm documenting. It also speaks to their knowledge of my activity on my phone, and they're seeking to get control of that or seek the information out. It's 5:35 p.m. That's another siren at 5:49 p.m. driving south, same direction on San Antonio. It's December 13, 2019, flashing on the communication devices of third parties that enter simultaneously while I'm working on my communication device. Again, I'm dealing with an entity that wants to try to obviate the P.O.C. The fact of the driving around the perimeter of the targeted individual's physical location. The sound of the sirens around that perimeter, that is P.O.C. So there is no contradiction, and third parties remain planted around and entering and engaging in P.O.C. In relevant position. All elements are present at 5:49 p.m. So the image that I took at 5:50 is of the third parties who entered in, and you have to pay attention to the sequence of events. So immediately following the sirens, I began to verbally narrate simultaneous to my operation of my communication device, because that's legally relevant, the entrance of the third parties, which is air movement, flashing of light, which is an enhanced light tactic in the search for electronic information. So these third parties that I captured in the picture are engaged in P.O.C., and that is what I captured, and that's what's relevant with regard to the state's P.O.C. and surrounding the perimeter of the targeted individual, myself, and the third party that simultaneously entered in the premises and engaged in the P.O.C. Specifically, the search for electronic information in my communication device that I was actively in operation of at the same time. 5:51 p.m. This is just to document the third parties that I captured at the table who simultaneously entered, engaging the P.O.C. as the ambulance sped past my right, driving south on San Antonio, driving around the perimeter of the targeted individual's location. They have moved location and now they're facing opposite. They're facing out the window. They remain in relevant positions to the targeted individual, engaging in the same sparkling flashing on their communication device. All elements remain present. Again, the state does not have to be outside of the window speeding down the street within vision of the targeted individual. This is not the way that the P.O.C. existed a year ago, November 2018, when third parties were equally engaged in the ongoing search and theft of my personal information and my communication device. So again, what I am documenting, though, is the state's effort to try to find some hole in my theory for their liability tortiously and criminally. That's what I mean, this is P.O.C. with regard to the sirens is common, and it does occur frequently, especially when I'm walking, well, I'm walking everywhere, but especially when I'm walking around 7-Eleven, when I'm walking toward the vehicle, pursuant to when I'm engaged in activity on a communication device using Wi-Fi. I've identified it as a plethora. It's a use of harassment. It's used for nonverbal communication. It is a means that they engage in with regard to the speeding and their lights. That is P.O.C. for the search. It is multi-purpose as well. But what I'm saying is it is also significant. It's the same entity engaged in a continuous effort to try to find some hole in my theory. But my theory is based on observation and long-term studying of the behavioral patterns of the third parties in the state that's engaged in the conduct. It's 6:03 p.m. and I just wanted to note these third parties relocated. They remain in relevant position, and they remain in the pattern of conduct by the sparking of their phones. That's a light enhancement tactic, and opposed to that, the light element is satisfied inside of this building. So it is perfectly feasible to continue engaging in the P.O.C. as the facts exist. It's 6:03 p.m. Just noting, and you hear that nonverbal communication in the back, while Destiny stands over by the corner of the bar waiting for me to start speaking. Destiny is an employee. Anyway, the third-party conduct of the patrons that are inside of here engaging in sparking on their communication devices. And what I'm doing is I'm capturing pictures of them because they sit there, most of them with their backs against me, while they put their communication devices within view for me to see. And this is universal. And it speaks to the cowardice also. But also it is, again, speaking to what I'm documenting. I got the people sitting at the table. He stands up and positions his phone so that I can see it because I'm looking down at my laptop. And his phone starts sparking. And then I capture him. He immediately sits down and I capture an image of him. That's just another third party engaged in P.O.C. And there's another one. They just stand around listening to me all day. That's what they do. They're weirdos. The one to my right, she was sparking as well. She's planted at a table, and her CD was sparking as well. They are weird. They are very, very weird, and they are engaged in identical conduct. So it is 6:15 p.m. The same third party, the ones that I captured walking inside of the cafe. As soon as I use my phone right now, I put it down on my laptop, I'm pressing a button. She gets up from her laptop, engaged in her really important meeting. She's crossing paths, got a drink from Starbucks. That's P.O.C. for Starbucks. They call the patrons in order to engage in crossing paths at opportune times. A lot of times the patrons sit around just waiting. They're called, they're what I call sleepers. They plant themselves around. This one in particular, she got up, and she must have psychically known that her drink was ready because she got up on her own. She wasn't even called. This is P.O.C. She got up as upon my operation, pressing a button on my phone and then placing it down on my laptop. So I immediately picked up my phone and took a picture of her. She was in relevant position, and the elements remain present. She doesn't have to be sparking on her phone. We have plenty of blinking lights right above the employees who are armed and ready to steal communication information in a device. I'm at the Starbucks. Okay, the image I just took of the third-party patron standing in front of the register talking to the third-party employees at 6:29 p.m. Is based on the other aspect of the P.O.C., which is concurrently engaged in with the purchase of the drink. The third party is engaged in positioning. It is in line with, that we were speaking about the communication device, it is in line with the targeted individual and the targeted individual's communication device from which they are seeking the information. And the third parties that line up in front of the register, they are in relevant position accordingly. And so in addition to the announcement of the third-party customers by the employees who are engaged in P.O.C. by doing such, waiting until an opportune time, that's what Destiny was doing, standing there waiting. Destiny is an employee. That's what the third party that I captured in the image, getting up as soon as I engaged in movement. She got up at that time to go get her drink, and so it's almost like a reservation, like I said, being sweepers and getting up and engaging in the relevant positioning to the to the targeted individual at the opportune time. This is P.O.C. inside of the Starbucks. So the image is reflecting P.O.C. with regards to their being in line at the register, in line with my physical location inside of the cafe at the table against the wall. That is still P.O.C. and the state is engaging, listening to me, document P.O.C. as it exists in here, and I am just demonstrating that it is no contradiction. The same P.O.C. exists in addition to the ongoing patrolling, because what they are engaging is more than merely crossing paths. The drive-through, and the third-party customers inside are engaged in a consistent, systematic crossing path, that's patrolling. And so with regard to this relatively small establishment, that's P.O.C., but standing at the register, being at that position, that is positioning, and that is P.O.C. It's 6:31 p.m. So the significance of the images I just captured at 6:55, two of them, of the two blinking lights that they have, one positioned right above the window, that's light and air movement combined right there, and also the other one that's over the food area, and then the simultaneous entrance of third parties at the moment that I took the picture. So this is P.O.C. with regard to the seeking of the electronic information, and third parties act instantaneously, and the pattern exists in the simultaneity with which they act. And that is a pattern that cannot be contradicted. You can try to detract from it by just having a whole bunch of people enter consistently, but the pattern still exists. And this is what I'm encountering with regard to the state. It is 6:56 p.m. and I took images of those third parties that instantaneously entered behind my capturing that picture while I'm seated here in front of the register area with Starbucks. So the restrooms, also this is P.O.C. for Starbucks, and this is relevant with regard to the harassing conduct that I'm documenting at this establishment. The third parties that are holding up the restroom. Again, everywhere that I go, everything I say, everything I do is constantly being monitored, and so including when I start packing up my belongings, and they are engaging in nonverbal conduct, monitoring that conduct. The planes are engaged in flying over the building, aware of where I'm at inside of the building, engaging and flying directly over me as I exit out the doors. This speaks to the ongoing monitoring, and so the fact that the restrooms are locked up while I am packing up my belongings, again, where I habitually engage in using the restroom before I leave here. This again speaks to the harassing conduct. This provides context to what I'm documenting inside of Starbucks, but it is also pursuant to the ongoing monitoring and invasion of privacy as I'm documenting it. It does provide context to the P.O.C. on the part of the third parties, and is relevant to the and relative to the overall P.O.C. with regard to third parties. It is 6:57 p.m. Okay, again, the relevance with regard to the 6:55 third parties that simultaneously entered as I took a picture, and I waited for a while to take that picture, and then the moment I took it, it was the entrance of the third parties. Okay, so that was instantaneous. The relevance of that is the instantaneous crossing of path, and that is P.O.C. So I just want to make sure I connect the dots. And with regard to the location where I'm at in the inside of the cafe, this is again a relatively small establishment, and virtually anywhere over here is going to be is going to satisfy actually the positioning element with regard to each and every single one that represents a communication device and operation of it. And their simultaneous conduct speaks to the ongoing monitoring, their awareness of my activity, and seeking to capture that which is being conducted on or being transferred through. However you go through stealing electronic information, all I am doing is cataloging the patterns that these third parties are engaged in, and which is highlighted by again, the universal facts of the state's conduct itself. While I am here sitting here documenting. I want to note the presence of third-party customers that are in relative position on their communication devices. So this is the element that is, these elements are always in place and present with relevant to the positioning of the third parties. Bye! And he's holding up his camera. He has it in what is that? Some sort of digital camera or something? I'm not sure what that is. But anyway, he's holding his cell phone. So whether they're holding it up or not, again, each one is representative of the communication device, and that relevant position to the targeted individual's communication device is what is central. That's what's relevant with regard to P.O.C. And here it is rampant. You're talking about patrolling as opposed to merely crossing the path. What I have with the two third parties that entered simultaneous to my taking a picture was a matter of crossing paths. But the reason why I've defined it as patrolling here is because they are ceaselessly engaging in that customer after customer, calling out their whole system that's at play is a matter of patrolling. It's more than just crossing paths. It is 7:02 p.m. There was no line when I opened the door. And the other door is the one that was locked for a prolonged time. Remember what? I'm talking to her. Oh, Destiny, hi. I was asking her a question. Did it seem like there's a problem? Like she was raising her voice? I don't think so. It seemed like you seem more combative than she did. She was just answering Michael's question. Anyway, you're distracting. What I was asking, there was no line. There was no line. So what I'm asking is, why did you guys knock on the door? Because I asked you for hot water, and I was sitting there waiting for the bathroom, and I was waiting because both of them were locked up. So why did you knock on the door?
I'm sorry, she was just trying to make sure that everyone got their chance.
Well, what I'm saying, she said that there was a line, and I didn't see there. I opened the door. That still doesn't make any sense, but thank you, that's all I needed. No, actually, no, it's not fine, it's an issue, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to respond or not respond, but thank you, that's all I needed. Is the presence of the airplanes south of the front of the entrance for Stater Brothers, where I just exited, and inside of the Stater Brothers, where they have 2 lanes exclusively open, providing for limited use of the lanes, and it also provides for the P.O.C. narrowing down, in addition to the third parties that can disperse surrounding the targeted individual. I am at Stater Brothers, and I'm leaving out the exit, and I have a third party on my right on the communication device. While the airplanes are present, I do see them as upon my exiting the grocery store. It's 7:36 p.m. Okay, following my documentation of my seeing the airplanes upon my exit, another airplane follows up and makes itself more conspicuously present by flying and engaging in the sharp turn that I documented yesterday. So this is a state duplicating that which I identify as P.O.C. But it is P.O.C. They have engaged in this in front of the Stater Brothers, in front of the TAD office, in front of the 7-Eleven. And other places that I have documented. 7:37, so you're talking less than 60 seconds later, a plane follows up. I am leaving the Stater Brothers at 646 HOLT, where they did have exclusively lanes 1 and lane 4 open. And with regard to P.O.C., I will elaborate on why that is relevant. But airplanes are present, and P.O.C. is very feasible inside of Stater Brothers. 7:37 p.m. That's an airplane flying directly over me as I'm walking on Vine Street. I'm sorry, on Vine Avenue. I'm walking north on Vine after turning off of HOLT. It's 7:43 p.m. Airplane flying directly over me less than 90 seconds later. I'm still walking on Vine Avenue. The images I just took at 8:13 p.m. Upon my entrance into the 7-Eleven, standing in line. This is relevant positioning inside of the store, as well as them sitting inside of the vehicles with the headlights on. That is also P.O.C. Also in relevant position as the walls are no obstruction, in addition to the planes flying over the building as I observed them upon entering into the store. It is 8:14 p.m. So what's relevant to what I just captured in images at 8:16 p.m. is the airplane that is above the FERN and G Street intersection. But what I keep capturing are these third parties that appear out of nowhere. Now that is the stalker conduct aspect. Irrespective of the airplanes and law enforcement that remain around in dark corners and airplanes that follow me everywhere, the third party aspect is very, very creepy with regard to third parties that appear at every second when I use my communication. They come out of nowhere, and that's what I captured again. That is P.O.C. with regard to the third parties and their engagement and immediately crossing paths upon use of my communication device. That is P.O.C. for third parties, and that is exactly what's going on inside of Starbucks. That is what's occurring inside of every other venue as well. It's 8:17 p.m. I'm at FERN and G. That is plane flying west, and again, third party crossing path at FERN and G. Simultaneous. Third party walking east, past the intersection, airplane flying west over the street. 8:19 p.m. What I want to note is that's a vehicle driving by while I'm operating my communication device, and another one walking toward, that's positioning, coming toward me. But what I was going to say was, even in the absence of the planes, the P.O.C. is nonetheless underway. With regard to this system, all they have to do is engage in relevant positioning with their communication devices. The elements are present. Light and air, we are outside. So all the elements are present, and this is with regard to the ongoing system that occurs with regard to the targeted individual at all places and at all times. This particular third party in a green X5 BMW truck, it is 5 Robert Brian Nancy 464. That is the P.O.C. It is 8:23 p.m. Just cataloging P.O.C. outside. 8:26 p.m. As soon as I gesture to scratch my head, the sound of a gate closing. That is nonverbal communication outside. In addition, the vehicles driving by to my left on G Street. That is P.O.C. for the ongoing search. It is in conjunction with my use of my communication device. This is P.O.C. They are all engaged in crossing path in relevant position to the targeted individual. That is the elements of the ongoing search of the communication device of the targeted individual as I stand outside at FERN and G, and they drive up and down the street on G. Another plane flying west over FERN, 8:30.